that kind of leads us in nicely to a next section that we do, which is some myths and truths. So I'll give you a couple of statements. I want you to tell me if it's a myth or it's a truth.
Okay.
So my first one is, it's impossible to change the culture in a large organization.
Completely wrong. Completely wrong. Yeah, you could absolutely change it. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but you can change it. And you have to target a pocket of it. You can't boil the ocean overnight. You have to start with a pocket of that change model of let's create a pocket of early adopters that we can start a movement. And there's loads of different ways you can do it. You can start with rebuilding your strategy, rebuilding your processes, rebuilding your teams, there's a whole host of and plethora of options to change the culture, but never think that it's impossible.
And I guess the example that you just gave us, I guess the small, quick, early win would be the getting the budget for the tools through some communication, and kind of stacking some like quick wins on top of each other gets the ball slowly rolling, I suppose, to begin with.
If you can create a team and a team with a good culture, then people want to work for that team. They want to work as part of that team. And then you grow that into other teams. What are they doing well? How does this team work well? And you can tell it's working because suddenly people are interested in working in that part of the team, that part of the business. Suddenly you've got one business unit that looks hugely more attractive to work in than everybody else. And all the internal vacancies have gone in that department, and they're still everywhere else. So you start small and you build outwards.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Financial targets drive results, and culture always comes second.
I would love to say they only drive results to a point, because everybody has a threshold of almost like a safety and quality threshold. But I do think in some countries and those companies, finance is the be all and end all. And I've seen it. I've been part of a company that wanted to list, and everything was driven by financial results and security around financial results. I think it shouldn't is the answer.
Yeah, so maybe I can rephrase that. So what do you think? Do you think that is the best way to work or not?
No, I don't think that's the best way to work at all. I don't think it is the best way. I would suggest that the financial results are, in an ideal world, the byproduct of doing a good job. But we've all been part of month end and year end and know that any company that is listed or private equity backed has expectations. But I don't think the entire culture should be around driving for financial results. The culture should be around delivering a quality product.
Okay, last one. People are more likely to burn out in high-performing teams.
No, I disagree with that as well, actually. I would suggest if you are genuinely a high-performing team, you really understand the work-rest cycle.
Yeah, so I was going to say that it depends how you define a high-performing team, actually, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and my brain has immediately gone to like the Red Arrows. They are, or ultimately classed as one of the best high-performing teams around. And if you ever get the chance to hear them speak, I know as they go through high-performing team, as they go through that cycle, they often end up on the speaking circuit, and they're incredible to listen to. But a high-performing team doesn't always require the same people. A high-performing team isn't the same 5, 10, 15 people the entire time. It's about bringing people in, getting the most and the value out of them, and then keeping that cycle moving, bringing new people in and getting the value out of them, new people in. And then within that, people understand high-performing rest cycle. And there's far too many companies around there that think, and I've worked with a few that think, you can be a high-performing team or a high-performing leadership team 365 days a year, 80 hours a week. And it's not achievable. If you understand the basics of how to create a high-performing team, you should avoid burnout. But it's people that don't understand that overly push people into positions that are unsustainable, that then you create burnout.
Yeah. So I'd like to dig into the work and rest cycle that you
Okay.
mentioned there. So I know we could probably talk all day about that then, but maybe you could just
Yes.
kind of outline what you see as a healthy way of planning it out, either, weekly, yearly kind of cycle, how you think about that.
Yeah, it's very individual. It is really individual. And that I know now how I work, and probably coming from a projects background, you understand that projects are cyclical, and that's how we work as well. And that's definitely how I work in terms of my motivation, enthusiasm, and then rest. I've got a group of sort of entrepreneurs that I work with, and I recommended a book for them the other day called Burnout. And I'd read it because I needed it at one point. And it's a very interesting book because it says the whole adrenaline cycle works because we used to be chased by lions and tigers and, whatever. And the threat would disappear. But it doesn't disappear now. So we have to force the threat to disappear. Now, a part of us moving into this environment, even into the countryside, changing physically our home location was about us understanding that work rest cycle. That for me, I can do generally 2 or 3 days with people, full on with people. And then I retreat into my own head a bit to deliver things in my head. And then at the weekends, I retreat into probably not using my brain, but there's a million and one physical things that need doing here now.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, so I work through that cycle. I work through the high energy visible cycle, the brain power cycle, and then the physical laboring. And it doesn't work the same for everybody else. When you have other things, you factor in elderly parents and kids, but I just think you need to understand how you work to be sustainable in any environment. And there's some amazing sort of CEOs and leaders of businesses, and I look at them and think, I have no idea how you manage everything because you look like you're delivering everything. But we know you can't do everything without understanding this work rest pattern or burning out.
Yeah. And how that works best for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
yours? How does it work for you?
Well, so I have my regular kind of routine that I'll come to in a minute, but it's funny you mentioned the physical work actually, because I had yesterday was a little bit outside my usual routine, and I had about kind of 6 hours of just kind of computer work doing solid concentration yesterday. So I was fading. I was having a bit of brain fade later in the day. The kids came home, so my plan was not to do this at all, but the kids came home and they'd saved up their pocket money and bought a new trampoline. So they were
Okay.
at me to let's assemble the trampoline. Today it
Yeah.
was like 25 degrees. Really did not want to do it. But actually, the 3 hours that we spent wrestling with this trampoline in the garden was actually perfect and just what was needed to have that kind of physical exertion and not thinking much. So yeah, that worked really well for me yesterday.
And then do you not also find, particularly if you've been working through a problem in your brain, that sometimes walking away from it and doing something entirely different with a different part of you, I often then, which is why people often see a flurry of emails from me later in the evening, because I've gone away and we've done evening routine and dinner and bath, and then I've thought, I've got it. I know the answer.
Come to it now. Yeah.
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 Because
Yeah.
because I understand that distance.
That flow of kind of
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, my typical routine is so over the last couple of years I've come to figuring out that what works best for me is a meditation for around about 30 minutes to an
Okay.
hour as first thing in the morning before like having a shower or eating.
Okay.
Morning routine with the kids, a few hours of working. What my wife and I then always take like a lunchtime walk,
Oh,
and
nice.
that gives me so we're either chatting about something or usually not work, just whatever's going on. That does give me that opportunity of just in the background processing what's happening in the morning, and then you can come to the afternoon a little bit fresh with a different perspective. So yeah, I like that.
Good. Yeah, I think it's important. So we're all different, but it's understanding how it works for us. And having that appreciation actually within your team. I don't think enough people do that. I used to frown upon people who would go to the gym at lunchtime and be like, wow, how come you've made time to do that? And now I really hold my hand up to them and say, well done. If that's what works for you, doing that break, fair play to you. And fair play to you for creating the discipline and the boundaries around it, that it's a non-negotiable for you and you're going to do it because you understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to dig into one more myth or truth,
Okay.
and then we'll kind of move on. I want to do this one because I like this one. So, if it's profitable, don't fix it.
I think that's probably really related to what we've just talked about, isn't it? In terms of that burnout, I understand that you wouldn't want to fix it because it's profitable, but oh my gosh, you've got to. You've got to fix it. You've got to fix it for a few reasons. You know, it could be profitable, but it could be the worst part of the culture of the business. It could be the most unsafe part of the business. It could be the bit of the business that actually is going to come and bite you because you've got huge quality issues in it later. So to be sustainable, you've got to fix it. I mean, probably a bit like you and I and our families, we could work 100 hours a week and have a very nice income, but you're not going to do it forever because you will burn the golden goose. So you've got to fix it.